I'm Mark.
And I'm Zach.
Every week, on a Saturday, in the Fab Radio International Studios,
we discuss 3 of the week's comic book releases and decide if we want to...
pull or pass. Spoilers! Hello and welcome to Pull or Pass 12. It's issue 12 and it played music and... Hi, I'm Mark.
I'm Zach, and Mark, if you'd have told me that was what you wanted as an effect, I could have done that for you, you know? I'm a musician in that.
I know, it ambushed me. I'm not very good with this desk. I shouldn't be allowed out of the house on my own, let alone in control of a radio show. This is Pull or Pass, your weekly geekly...
Yes, it's back.
Weekly
Finally.
geeky comic book show, where it's issue 12, and it's Christmas. This is... Well, it's not really festive, it just happens to be a couple of days before Christmas, so Merry Christmas, everybody, and stuff. From Pull or Pass, and from Fab Radio International, and from my cat Pasha.
And most of all, from us.
Yeah, we love you, thanks for listening and stuff. We think you're great.
Love is a strong word. Tolerate. And
I'm going to test something. Oh! Yeah, it carries on playing.
That seems slightly problematic.
Right, so I've worked it out. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm doing. Right, good. So, we're going to talk about the news rather than me dithering with the desk. Yeah. Zach, it's a busy news week, and I've already wasted 2 minutes and 4 seconds by dithering because I'm not very good with the desk.
I mean, that's kind of a moral of the story right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Boys 2 trailer.
Boys 2 trailer.
Boys 2 trailer.
Which sounds like a boy band that aren't going to take off.
No.
Boys 2 trailer. It looks good, doesn't it?
It really does. I'm really quite excited about it. And there's no actual date on it, which made me cross.
No, it
just says
quite
2020.
Vague. I think the fact that we've got a trailer would suggest it's going to be quite... If memory serves, the trailer and the actual release of the first season weren't too far apart, so... But then it would be like less than 6 months between seasons, I think. So that seems...
It does seem soon, but they've obviously filmed a lot because there's a lot in the trailer, isn't there?
Yeah, and, strike while the iron's hot and all that, so...
Which, is the freedom that streaming services have, as opposed to schedules and stuff on terrestrial channels or whatever channels,
Yeah, it's true. They can kind of release as and when they're ready, and that's cool. I mean, that's what we're used to with comic books, so...
true that.
It kind of works. It's the same with some of the shows.
True that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, though. I enjoyed season 1 more than I expected to, I think. And so I'm more optimistic about season 2. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think much like Preacher, it kind of benefits. We've said this so many times, but it benefits from kind of going away from the source material at times.
Right.
Because it keeps you kind of unaware of what might be happening and what might come up, even though it's characters you know and... perhaps like.
Yeah. Yeah. With the boys, I mean, have enjoyed. Perhaps like isn't right.
I think there's 3 characters you're probably meant to like, and
even
that's a push.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm optimistic, and I think it's got the potential to be as good, maybe even better than season 1.
Yeah, and there was people criticised. I forget his name. The guy who played Judge Dredd.
I want to say he's Carl Urban.
Yes, Carl Urban. They criticised his British accent, but that seemed to be the only thing that people managed to find to criticise.
If your only complaint is his accent ain't great,
that's my only complaint about The Boys, really, is that Carl Urban is not playing Judge Dredd in a TV series.
Yeah,
but,
I think we got a similar thing with Constantine, where the only complaint I ever seemed to hear was, it's not got a very good Scouse accent, and it's like, I could care less.
Yeah, there are certainly worse things, aren't there?
If that's your problem, I think you can live with it, right?
I am excited. Is the simple thing.
I think that's totally fair.
Want soon.
Yeah, and I like that we're getting more indie comic shows, so I'm glad that the first series has clearly been successful enough to garner more, even though I'm thinking now that it's probably not the most indie it could be, but Garth Ennis just doesn't seem like an indie creator, does he, really? He's a huge name.
He is a huge name.
But there we go. Anyway.
Yeah. I've got another bit of news, and it's just insert my usual rant, really. The Crisis on Infinite Earths has started in America, and British people can't see it legally.
In America.
Insert Mark's usual rant, blah, 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 international release, blah, blah, blah. What do you want us to do other than pirate, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, I'm going to play this from a different side and go, benefit of this, I'm already years behind with the CW shows.
Well, yes.
So in a way,
I mean,
I've won this one by, even if I start now, I'm not going to catch up in time.
being brutally honest, the reason I want to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths is I'm just there for the cameos.
Yeah.
I want to see Lois and Clark. I want to see 70s Wonder Woman. I want to see all of these things.
I want to see Brandon Roth as Superman.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who really likes Superman Returns, so I'm totally okay with more Brandon as Superman.
I'm disappointed Swamp Thing's not in it.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if we were getting kind of drawn from all the different sources and, you know, get me Val Kilmer, bring me George Clooney.
I have heard that George Clooney is your Batman.
It has been said.
Has it?
Most recently on Spotify and Bandcamp at Zach Reagan.
Nice plug, Zach.
Finally, 12 weeks in, I've caught up with how to plug my music.
Good times.
It's not subtle at all,
But yeah, we've got nothing to say about it because we can't watch it. Sorry.
Quietly optimistic that when I watch it in 20 years, it will be pretty okay.
Wow. Have you got any news?
It could be sooner. Yeah, I've got some stuff. I got some things. So we got a trailer for Superman Red Son, the animated film that's coming straight to Blu-ray or DVD in a home near you. Yeah,
I thought that the source material's great, and this also looks great. I like the style of the art, and I felt wrong as hell marking out for Joseph Stalin.
Yeah, that was a cameo that I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, wait, what is...
It's
I
not
feel like
cool.
Cool's not the right word.
Yeah, but it was like
huh.
Stalin's in it. Oh, I shouldn't be excited about Stalin.
I mean... Yeah, I mean, he's a star. There's no denying it.
He's also a mass-murdering, psychopathic lunatic.
Not all stars are good.
True.
It's an interesting one. I have mixed feelings about the comic. I think some of it's really good ideas. And,
I liked it.
Some things bother me. Why would Batman change because Superman lands somewhere else? That don't add up. But at least little things that bug me about the comic, and I'm kind of curious how that's going to...
They do have a very strong friendship, and I guess if a friendship was taken out, a major friendship was taken out of anybody's life, they would be different, surely.
Perhaps, but my interpretation of... I thought in Red Son, it's just not Bruce Wayne who's Batman.
Oh, okay.
So it's things like that, and like, why would the Green Lantern ring go to someone else? Surely Hal Jordan's still brave and all willful in that. But I don't know. It's little things like that I kind of wanted more explanation of, and we don't.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, multiverse malarkey.
It's all Superman's fault. But yeah, maybe we'll get more kind of attention put to those things in the film. It's a different medium, and it's a different way to tell us things. It looks like a good film. It looks promising, and I think the animation looks cool. So yeah, I optimistic about Red Son.
Yeah, I think it looks good, and DC's animated stuff has always been great, or mostly great.
Yeah.
And
I think there's occasional exceptions, but normally they nail it.
So I'm quietly confident that from what I've seen, that's going to be great.
We've been quietly confident and quietly optimistic about a whole bunch of things already, and we're like, what, 10 minutes in? This is a good week for us.
I'm not sure quiet is a good way to describe me.
No, you're quite loud.
I am. Yeah.
As the people listening at home will realise from the levels of the podcast.
Yeah. Have you got any other news?
I got one other thing.
Go on.
And it's, Marvel last year or so have been doing these like little animated trailers for their upcoming series. We got one for...
you sent me that and I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Is it good?
Well, it's interesting. So, on and off in Marvel, we've had Machine Man and Arno Stark.
Right.
And Machine Man was Machine Man 2020 from the 80s, so...
Right.
I'm sure you probably read it in the 90s. And
No.
Okay, well, here we are. So it's all about Arno Stark, kind of, he's going to be Iron Man in 2020. And in the current comics, Tony Stark's kind of missing in action, I'm told. I'm not up to date with Iron Man, but so I'm told. And it looks like, Arno is going to be Iron Man in 2020. And
Huh.
That's what's happening. And
Has he still got those crazy shoulder things going on?
oh yeah,
With the cog? Was it
Yeah.
coggy
Yeah, like
shoulders?
big
Giant coggy
Cog
shoulders.
Yeah. You know, he's intelligent. He knows everything, and
That's actually really cool that they had Iron Man 2020 as sci-fi, and now it's 2020. He's going to have that. Okay, I'm impressed.
what I've got written
Did
here.
the trailer look good?
I think all the trailers have been a bit weird with the kind of half animated style, but yeah, I think it looks good. I'm kind of curious.
What, is it a motion comic?
Yeah, so it's kind of motion comic.
I love a motion comic.
You know, like we got with the Carnage,
Yes.
Absolute Carnage preview.
Yes.
So yeah, they've been doing those for different series, and it's kind of a half motion comic, half animated. But it looks promising. And I've just got here on my notes that Arno Stark is Tony Stark's future first cousin once removed. So that's what's important to know about Arno Stark going forward.
Right, good.
But yeah, I think it looks promising and different, and it's the team who have been working on Iron Man, I'm not sure about artists, but it's Dan Slott who's been doing Iron Man.
Right.
So I think we've got the opportunity there for, obviously he's deep into writing the character right now, so I think it's
interesting.
open.
It's definitely interesting.
I guess we'll see. We'll probably review the first issue of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we'll find out.
Yeah. Good stuff. We have been given we've been given an ashcan by Travelling Man when we went to collect our books for this week. So, shall we very briefly talk about that on the news? Because it's technically a preview rather than an actual issue 1.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Yeah. Shall we also say thank you, Travelling Man, because they're lovely and they look after us?
Incidentally, they are our sponsors.
They are.
And, yeah, they've probably got some kind of December deal on that I've just not noticed.
Well, if you are panicking and you need to buy Christmas presents for your geeky friends, go to Travelling Man, particularly if you live in York or Leeds or Newcastle or Manchester, because they have stores there. You probably can't buy online by the time this show's broadcast, because it's like well close to Christmas. But yeah, they've got like
they've got stores places,
stocking fillers, and they've got massive things as well. If you like need a big gift for someone,
they've got your big board games, they've got your small board games, they've got your big books, your small books, your in-between books.
They've got lots of stuff, and it's where we have our pull. But we'll talk about our pull when we do the main meat of the show. Shall we talk about Bang, the ashcan that we were given by lovely Travelling Man?
Yes, let's.
It was very Bond, wasn't it?
Intentionally so, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a little character profile for the main character, Thomas Cord, in the back that kind of describes him as spy hero, brainwashed killer, misogynist, sociopath, and yeah, Bond.
That sounds like Bond.
I mean, the brainwashed might not be Bond, but he has his moments. But yeah, very Bond, and I think.
And there was a punny Bond girl name as well, wasn't there? Which I liked.
Yeah, and I knew you would.
She was called. She was. I'm not saying anything other than her name was Fanny.
And Mark's obviously very happy about that.
Fanny. Well, in America, Fanny means bottom. In Britain, Fanny doesn't mean bottom. It's a lady's name, but it also means another thing. Fanny.
I'm just gonna.
I'm 41 years old.
I can barely tell. I'm going to tiptoe around this to discuss Bang.
So you don't want to talk about Fanny?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'm interested. I think Mark's laughing to himself and trying not to make a noise right now. I'm interested. I think Matkin, this is why we can't have a nice show. It's Mark Adams.
Just give me a minute.
You can tweet him.
Keep talking.
So, I'm Zach and I run the show now. Bang it's Matkin. We both liked Folklords, which he wrote.
Did.
And it's Wilfredo Torres. It's me trying to get past Mark right now. Wilfredo Torres did some of the Black Hammer spin-off
I like that
art. He's a really, really good artist, and I think that was the standout for me for the book is I'm interested. I think the art's really nice. And to call back to one of our other shows,
Yeah.
this feels like it should be a TKO book.
Potentially, yeah.
It's so pulp, and it feels like this is Matt Kint's TKO book. Dark Horse just happens to be releasing it.
Well, it was Bond, but with a massive twist, and they've very much taken Bond and flipped it and made you go, "Oh my goodness!" So yeah, it's cool.
It looks like we've got the characters we've seen, because this is only 10 pages, if that.
Yeah, little ashcan. Do like an ashcan.
I like saying ashcan.
We should do more ashcans.
Well, people would need to print more ashcans for that.
True that.
7 pages. 7 pages and then some character previews, which are quite vague. A lot of them for characters we haven't seen yet. And I'm kind of... We also get 1 page from a Thomas Cord novel in the back, which is the novel of what's just happened.
It's clever.
It's very Matt Kin. I think Kin is quite eager to go a bit meta at times.
Yeah.
He likes to reference his own work.
And Bond's become a little bit meta
yeah,
as well.
It's very self-aware these days.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think this looks like a self-aware Bond parody, and yeah, I'm on board
I'd say
with that.
more homage than parody, actually.
True, yeah.
Or inspired by, rather than...
Yeah, fair. This is more probably on the level than a parody.
Yeah.
At least in the ashcan. It could be a total swerve on issue 1.
Could be.
He does mention, I did read the interview in the start, he does mention taking inspiration from pulp, radio serials, Dog Savage, The Shadow, so classic.
Yeah.
And I think you get that, even without the interview in the start, I think you get that from the book. It's like, yes, this is so pulp. I can't really complain.
I suppose, is it a pull or is it a pass?
I think it's a pull. I
think I'm going to read issue 1 for sure.
I like Kint's work. I think some of it more than others, but yeah, I'm willing to give this a shot.
Yeah, me too. We might put it on the show. We might
Maybe
not.
we will give
We've
it a
already
shot.
kind of discussed it, haven't we?
But what if it's different? What if it's like the Joe Hill
Maybe.
sampler and bits have been missing? And
Yeah, true. True. But yeah, dead good.
I've only just figured out something about this book.
What?
It's,
Is it the pun on Fanny?
no. It's spoilery. So
Oh no! Don't do spoilers. Don't ruin it because it's such a good twist that
me and Mark will discuss it off air.
I do
and we'll
love a
both go,
twist.
oh, yeah. But it's a twist, and I've just figured out what the twist really is, and I'm happy now. So
Merry Christmas and stuff. But we're going to talk about some comics.
Christmas comics, though, kinda, I guess. Not really. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, one of them is.
But we'll get to that.
One of them is. We read this week. We read Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren by Marvel, Wonder Woman: Dead Earth by DC Dark Label, and Project Xmas, which was a secret from, I want to say, Image.
It was from Image, and let's start with that because that secret didn't actually exist, did it? And what?
Right, go on.
So the whole premise, the cover that was released was like of a Christmas present. It was green, red ribbon around it with a little label saying "Merry Christmas" from Mark Millar. And I thought that's what we were going to get.
What, some kind of Christmas thing?
No, well, not a Christmas thing, but it was a surprise comic. I thought you were going to pick this up and that would be the cover, or it would be bagged and it would be this Christmas present, and it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
So follow through on the gimmick.
Yeah.
Instead, the gimmick they gave up on at the point of it's a surprise, but it's not a surprise if you stop caring when you find out what it is.
Yeah, there wasn't any gimmick. It wasn't a front cover of buy this and see what's inside it. It was just a comic.
And that's the thing. So when we pick this up and it's just... Well, it's American Jesus.
It is American Jesus.
Which, on the one hand, I've never heard of.
No,
so
neither had I.
It's a sequel to something I don't know anything about.
I didn't read the first one either.
I thought it was going to be a sequel to something like Hook or Jupiter's Legacy, Chrononauts, one of these big recent Mark Millar titles, Starlight. I can keep listing them.
Yeah, it could have been anything, but, I mean... It did just say it was a sequel to something he'd done before, and this is that. It's a 3-issue limited series.
It is that, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the half-invested gimmick. I think if you're going to have a gimmick in comics, carry on with it. Get to the point where it is a mystery and it is a present.
While I agree with that, I do agree with that, and that is a massive failing by Image. Let's just talk about it as if we just put American Jesus onto our pull list this week.
Okay.
Should we do it like that?
Let's try.
Give it a fair whack, as it were.
Don't get me wrong, the gimmick thing only occurred to me after I'd read it, so...
With the caveat that, the gimmick was wasted a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So it's a story about faith and religion and Christianity. And bizarrely, I've always, as a humanist, I've always found religion stories absolutely fascinating.
I totally agree with that. I think it's curious, and I think when people delve into kind of the actual content of the Bible and things about, Revelations and how it's meant to go down, so stuff like Good Omens did a good play on angels, demons, Antichrist.
Not necessarily critical stuff, though. His Dark Materials is pretty critical.
Yeah,
and I love that. But there's other stuff that isn't critical of faith that I enjoy too. I mean, like perfect example is in Buffy, they use the crosses to repel vampires, and Christianity is portrayed in a very positive light in that.
And it is a common trait in kind of horror films, and we're both, there's a lot.
Yeah,
any exorcism, any kind of,
and I really have no problem with that, because without wishing to be unfair, unsubtle, or rude to anyone of faith, it's fiction and it's fantasy, and in an alternative universe, maybe there is a god. In my world, in my belief system, there isn't. But because these aren't, they're fiction, and that's why I enjoy that. And even like stuff like D&D, I always liked playing clerics and faithy characters,
religious
as well.
characters.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I'm not religious. It's quite nice to play someone who is, like, no different to, I'm not a dwarf and I haven't got a massive axe, and it's quite fun to play a dwarf with a massive axe,
So if you've never seen a photo of Mark Adams, sorry to spoil that for you, if you'd always seen him as a dwarf with a massive axe.
No, I'm quite long and I don't have an axe.
More elf-like in many ways, I suppose.
True. But that's a bit of a tangent. Let's talk about...
a tangent I'm okay with, though. It's gotten weird, but I like it.
Let's talk about American Jesus.
Yes. So, Second Coming in Harlem, circa 1974. Antichrist coming soon.
Yes.
That's my kind of one-line sum up for this.
Yeah, and what I didn't expect was, like, about a third of the issue in, it suddenly became very political as well as a book about faith, and that was interesting. It's almost like I like that they're doing both in one book, because it's a lot of the time
it's one or the other.
Yeah, particularly in comics, because they've got such a short medium and it's quite episodic. They focus on one thing, which is cool, but this is suddenly some politics as well.
And on the one hand, I'm okay with that. I think it's good to weigh the two things and have them both. And I agree with kind of explaining how the Antichrist would have a world agenda and would have a hand in how things play out.
Yeah.
One thing that did bother me and seemed, for me, I thought was in a little bit bad taste was the kind of... And of course, the Antichrist is responsible for, 9/11. Just felt a little bit like... I don't know if you need to go... And this specific event was because of the Antichrist. It felt a little...
Well, it's a fantasy world. It's not our world. And it's controversial deliberately, I think. I mean, for me, the image of the Twin Towers it was a full page spread, and we all know I like my full page spreads, but it was very impactful, and I thought it was very evocative as an image for me, and I'm British. I just wonder how much more of an impact it would have had on American readers, because it is an evocative thing. The Twin Towers aren't there anymore because of a really scary reason. And when this is set in the past, so obviously they were there.
I agree with that, and I understand. I know what they're getting at. I think personally for me, it's like you could show the image and talk about, how the Antichrist is going to do things. I don't think you need to specifically go into, and this is the thing that's going to happen.
I think it's very brave. There's a lot of very brave stuff in there that could get them a lot of hate.
And may do is not good English, but may well. It's, I guess it's a curious one. Everything about it, the name, the content, the getting into faith, getting into politics, getting into terrorism, feels like a intentional ploy of, we're poking the bear a little bit here and we're controversial. And I don't know, maybe that's one of the things that bothers me, is it feels like it's just, let's be controversial. And don't get me wrong, there's a history of that with Mark Millar's books. I know some people would disagree that can affect the quality of his books, but I think at times he does edge on the let's be controversial for the moment here. Let's have things that people are gonna hate.
I mean, I like that. I've always liked that. I like stuff that makes people think, and I don't mind edgy.
Don't get me wrong, I agree with Eric Bischoff. Controversy does create cash. What?
Eric Bischoff.
Yeah. I'm not sure I should have made that reference in real life, but here we are. I just think at times Mark Miller doesn't know where the line is, even with being controversial.
One thing I did notice was that it was heavy on the Netflix ads. Is this going to be a teleseries?
Well, it's because specifically, so Mark Miller's Miller World was bought out by Netflix.
Right.
So they've got the options to immediately make whatever they want. So Sharky the Bounty Hunter, which is advertised in the back, was...
That's only been going 5 minutes.
But it was commissioned for a adaptation before it even came out.
Oh, okay.
And
right.
I know there's been criticism in the last few years that he releases one trade of something and then never follows it up. So if you look in the back, there's a catalogue for Mark Miller, and Empress is one volume and then no sign of follow-up. Chrononauts took years for a follow-up. Sharky, one volume just came out.
Right.
Starlight, Magic Order, Hook are all, I've done a volume, let's see if someone wants to adapt it. And it's felt like that with a lot of his books. It's like, so Magic Order was really good and Hook was really good, but it immediately felt like an option for a TV show, and he's not going to follow it up unless someone's paying for it.
Right. Wow. Well, that's cynical.
I mean, that's cynical from me, and it's perhaps cynical from Mark Miller as well.
I think it's fair to say it's cynical from both of you.
Double cynical. But I think what makes that more frustrating is I've liked some of those books. To then think, well, I might have to wait forever for a follow-up. Which I guess is part of the thing with this. I was hoping that it would be a follow-up on something I'd read and liked.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. But did you like it?
I don't overly know. I don't think this was for me.
Really? Okay.
I kind of liked some of the themes he was getting at, but I think... I don't know. I think Mark Miller books are either quite love-hate, and I think for this didn't fall in the love side, unfortunately.
So is it a pull or a pass?
This is a pass for me.
I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was interesting, and I liked the controversy, and I liked that it was both political and a book about faith. And I've always found, like I said, that kind of thing really interesting, and I enjoyed it. So I had no idea what Project Xmas was, so I didn't have a preconceived idea about whether or not I was going to pull or pass it. And then it arrived, and I was like, oh, where's the Christmas present? But all in all, it's a pull. I think for me.
I think knowing what it is now, I understand why this is Project Xmas. It's
it's about Jesus, isn't it?
It's about Jesus. Yeah. It's Immaculate Conception and all that. It's it's the Christmas story.
It's seasonal.
So I think if we had known about American Jesus beforehand,
we might have guessed what it was.
We'd have probably had a good guess.
Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and it's 3 issues, so I'm going to pull it. Good times. Fair. Shall we talk about the rise of Kylo Ren?
Yes, let's do that.
We explicitly put this on because we've not looked at any Marvel Star Wars since we started this show, and we're trying to, as much as possible, we're trying to mix it up and maybe even put stuff on that we don't want to read per se, to give it a bit more of a bit more depth than Mark and Zach read Jeff Lemire.
Hey, we also read books by Jerry Duggan and Matt Kint.
You know what I'm getting at. So yeah, it's a Star Wars book, and I've previously enjoyed a lot of the Marvel Star Wars stuff, the recent stuff.
Yeah.
So I was optimistic about it. What did you think?
Much like I've thought with a lot of previous Star Wars books from Marvel, I think they do an incredible job of bridging the gaps between the films and between the media we get. So Gillen's Darth Vader and the Star Wars that ran at the same time, which I can't remember who it was by, but it was good. I want to say it was Jason Aaron, but that's a guess.
Maybe.
But both of those kind of bridged the gap between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And explained things like, how does Vader find out that Luke's his son? And answer questions that it's like, okay, that's interesting if you tell us why that is. That's even cooler than just... he just knows.
And, my favourite of the Star Wars films since Disney took over is Rogue One.
Yeah.
And
which is filling in the gaps as well.
Yeah, there's so much to be told in the Star Wars world that the comics is a perfect medium for it.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that over the years. So stuff like the RPGs and the video games, and even stuff that they've kind of now gone, well, that's no longer part of the universe.
I'm still a bit sore about the RPGs because when I was playing it, my DM wouldn't let me play a Hutt Jedi.
We've done this story before. I remember talking about it.
Have we done that before?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it on this show, though?
I'm not sure if it was on the show
Don't
or
think it was on
not,
the show,
but yeah, we have talked about that.
I wasn't allowed a Hutt Jedi, so I had an Ewok Jedi instead.
I mean, that's brilliant in itself.
Good times. Anyway,
but
tangents.
I think all the idea of an interconnected Star Wars universe, and I understand why Marvel kind of scrapped some of the existing stuff to go, well, we want this to be more coherent. There's some contradictions. I think the comics that Marvel, Disney have been putting out do that. I think they answer questions that fans have probably had and inform us of stuff that we've probably not thought about. Like the Lando Calrissian series, we've had 2 of them, and it kind of gives you so much more of who Lando is.
Yeah.
Same with Leia, Chewbacca, all these series that you might not have been screaming out for, but when you got them, it's like, yeah, it does actually.
Yeah, and then they've been good. What I did like was, it's before The Force Awakens for the first part. Which,
like, it seems to suggest it could be a long time before Force Awakens.
Yeah, it was. Now, that was interesting. That wasn't what I was expecting. And I was like, ooh, more backstory.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. We're told, this is Star Wars and it's like a 30-year span, but to go back before even the prequels potentially is interesting, and I like that.
Yep.
And we have seen it in other hints of going back, but... Yep. I like seeing more of the universe. I do think this... So it does jump in time. We see before Force Awakens, we see kind of gaps filled in from the story of Kylo Ren becoming Kylo Ren and leaving Luke behind.
So talking about Kylo Ren, he has got a very distinctive face. The actor who plays him has got a distinctive face.
Adam Driver.
Yes. The artwork is exceptional in this comic book. It's great art... But the guy cannot do Kylo Ren's distinctive face.
It's awkward because there's little glimpses of him kind of getting it right, but it's never like a full face gets it right. It's like the eyes are right, the mouth's right, the nose is right, but it's never...
It's a shame because that did... I recognised how great the art was, but I was like, get his face right.
Yeah, I understand that. I think it does...
It's impossible when you're actively... like converting a very famous and distinctive face. I remember the 7th Doctor comics were the same for Marvel UK. The art wasn't bad, but nobody got Sylvester McCoy's ugly mush sorted.
And I guess, obviously, Marvel do have Greg Land on board, who does a lot of artwork where he has just traced things. So we could have had that, and it would have been dead on for Adam Driver. But
right.
I'm glad it's not. I'm glad they got a really good artist who... Yeah, okay, maybe you can't quite get Kylo Ren right, but I can live with it. I think the story is good enough.
I just thought it was worth pointing out that it's an ongoing problem of explicit characters of actors to comic books, and it's been happening for, well, ever since media was a thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, his Luke Skywalker's not bad, though.
No, his Luke Skywalker's great, yeah.
And his Leia's pretty good. Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
it is just Kylo Ren.
Specifically Kylo, which is unfortunate for a Kylo Ren book.
Well, quite.
Ironic, you might say.
Indeed.
But I like this. I like that it bridges gaps between the other films we've seen. One thing that does bother me is, so Captain Phasma came out as a miniseries before Last Jedi, and they got, I think it was only 4 issues, but they got them all out before Last Jedi. I think the fact that this is coming out 3-4 days before, no, not even that, the day of the film. Yeah. I feel like this could have been out a couple of months ago to kind of build excitement and more capitalise and give people a little bit of a lead in. We see that they do prequels to the Marvel films. I don't see why this couldn't have been more of a...
Yeah, it was poorly timed. I hadn't even thought about it, but you're right.
Unless there's going to be spoilers in this that will then...
Okay, well, we don't know.
However, we do see Snoke in this with what is either a real questionable hairstyle for him or a hat that we need to talk about.
Yeah. I did enjoy this book. I liked how there was perspective of lesser characters. I like stories about turmoil and quandary, and that flesh out a an evil character and give you their motivations and their weakness, how they became like this. And I do think this does that really well.
But is Kylo evil? Or,
That's the thing. Is Kylo evil,
or is he just right?
Wow.
I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying the Empire have some good points and
Wow.
killer colour scheme.
Well, we're not talking about the British election and stuff. Pull or pass on the rise of Kylo Ren.
I think it's a pull. I've read quite a lot of the Star Wars stuff, so I'm quite into a little bit more of it.
I am going to read this, but I'm not going to pull the singles. I'm going to wait for the trade. But I really did enjoy this book. I really did. But I've exclusively read the Marvel Star Wars stuff in their trade versions, and I've enjoyed reading them like that. So I'm glad it's good, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's not going to go on my pull list. It is going to go on my trade list.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I do have quite a lot of them in trade. Like I read Olivator in big over-the-top hardbacks. So yeah, I feel you.
Right, Wonder Woman Dead Earth.
Wonder Woman
Another
Dead
DC
Earth.
Black Label. We do like our DC Black Label.
And I thought about that, and I talked about it this week with other people, and there's a reason, right?
Because they're bloody good.
That's the reason. The Black Label's just... It feels like graphic novels rather than the DCU. It feels like it's doing things with characters that the mainstream universe can't do and fans might reject. I felt that way about Joker, Killer Smile, Harleen.
Yep, both of those are great.
And I feel with this that again it's the future. It kind of starts with
post-apocalyptic future.
Yeah, so it kind of starts with Diana as a child being told, there's going to come a time when the world's going to be gone and you're going to still be here, and then obviously it shows us that world. And the dystopian costume she builds for herself is awesome.
It's very cool.
All in on that. And what I will say is Daniel Warren Johnson has done a series for Image called Extremity, which I feel has very similar kind of post-apocalyptic vibes.
Okay.
So I think he is entirely the right choice for this series. And
Well, like Kirkman doing the Marvel Zombies, right?
yes, so I think he's the right choice for this. I think he is a good writer and a good artist. And I think Mike Spicer as well as a colorist. I think colours are good in this.
Here's the thing with the art. It began with me going, well, this isn't really to my taste. It feels too indie, and it's not very DC superhero kind of stuff. And then it had the biggest full-page spread ever for a massive reveal, and suddenly the art worked for me. And I got the tone of the book that I So for the first few pages, I was like, this art ain't great. Oh, this art's great. And then it actually got me more into the book.
There's a few full pages or near full pages, and there's a double page spread. And I think all of them are like, as establishing shots.
Black Label's indulgent on stuff like that, and I'm all for that. This is what comics are. You don't need tight... You don't need, like, very, very tight, tiny panels to tell as much of a story as you do. You just need to make people see art and story as a combo.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the benefits for Black Label, at least most of Black Label, well, maybe not most, but a lot of it, is this kind of oversized European format. It's just really good. It's nice to have the art featured and feel like they're taking it seriously and making it important.
I should have known better because it's a Black Label title, but this was savage and gory, and it wasn't what I envisioned as a Wonder Woman book. But it was also very much a Wonder Woman book because it was a story about humanity.
Yeah.
And I was over the moon with how good this was.
I mean, there's one scene in this where she says to someone, well, that's why I love you, and that explains why she fell in love with humanity, and you think, and this is what's good about Wonder Woman, this is great. Yeah. We kind of get that balance of her as a person who loves humanity and her as the warrior who will do anything to defend it.
Yeah.
We also get Cheetah in the best redesign. She has a cheetah as a hand.
Which was cool.
That's it.
cool.
Character design nails it.
It does.
Every opportunity.
It really, really does. I didn't know what to think. I'm not a huge Wonder Woman fan per se, but this blew me away. Absolutely blew me away.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like Daniel Warren Johnson. I liked the premise when I read it, and I this is a pull for me.
Yeah, it's a massive pull for me as well. I don't think I've said no to a Black Label title yet. And
I mean, I think you're forgetting about Dark Knight, whatever, last week.
Good point, well made.
But
good point, well made. But these are. I don't care if they're calling Vertigo Black Label. This is Vertigo, but better and with a huge amount of commitment that they haven't put into it for years.
I
don't
like
care what you call it. Gimme.
I like the format. I like the 3-issue miniseries. Everything's oversized. Everything's a graphic novel. It's
gimme.
It feels like real investment in good indie creators working on DC characters, and in a format that means it's so immediate. It's 3 issues, and it's going to be out in a trade, and everybody can read it super quick.
I'm dead excited for this book.
Yeah.
Dead excited.
I totally agree. Yeah, Dead Earth, dead good.
So do you know what? The spirit of Christmas, we have had 3 great books. Well, in my opinion, we've had 3 great books. You didn't like American Jesus, but I'm really pleased that at Christmas I've been really positive about the books. It's a Christmas miracle. Not that miracles are real.
And we're back down to our regular tone.
Shall we talk about what we are doing next week?
Yes.
It is going to be our Betwixtmas episode.
It is.
I like the term Betwixtmas.
Which does come with some issues.
Well, yes, 3 issues.
3 issues.
But they're all from Marvel.
Because most people don't release books at Christmas.
No.
Because
but Marvel do.
Especially when Christmas Day is the Wednesday.
Quite.
So Marvel have got 3 number 1s, which is incidentally the exact amount we need.
It's useful. I don't know what we'd have done if they didn't, because no one else is releasing anything.
It's interesting because they're number 1 solicited, but they're kind of reprints of number 1s, so that's not ideal for us. For other companies, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Marvel's all new.
Oh, I see. Right.
And occasionally all different.
Well, we've chosen... Well, we had no choice, but the 3 books that we have for next week, it's an accidental, couldn't do it any other way, Marvel special, and we're reading Incoming 1, Spider-Ham 1, and...
Hey, whoa. That's Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham 1.
Forgive me.
To use his formal title.
Ugh. And Doctor Strange, Surgeon Supreme 1.
Indeed.
And which one are you looking forward to the most, Zach?
So Incoming has been kind of advertised as it's tying up 2019 and it's bringing us into 2020, and it's going to kind of bookend Marvel 1000. So I'm pretty intrigued as to how that's going to go and what the plan is.
Yeah, having read Marvel 1000 and...
There's kind of a narrative there.
Yeah, so I want to read more of it, so I don't know whether it's going to just be the next part of that or whether it's going to answer questions or what it's going to do, but I'm intrigued about that one, but... I'm intrigued by Doctor Strange more than that. I think I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange a lot because I do like Doctor Strange.
I love Doctor Strange. Earlier this year, I read about 3 years worth of Doctor Strange. So
nice.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is an interesting one.
And I am not looking forward to, in any way, shape, or form, the atrocity that is Spider-Ham. I suspect I'm going to dislike it.
Goodbye, Christmas spirit.
Oh no!
I'm looking forward to Spider-Ham. It's cartoony, it's wacky, and
it's not what I want.
Zany. I get to use all those words that I never get to use. And,
zany.
I don't think it's going to be my favourite comic of all time. I don't think it's going to change my life, as we've said for many books.
It is a phrase of ours.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
not.
I think I'm looking forward to a week where we get to focus in on what Marvel are doing and see.
I tell you what.
It's quite a wide spread of Marvel releases as well. They're all very different.
I tell you what. If I like Spider-Ham, that really will be a Christmas miracle.
I think it's going to happen.
You reckon?
I think this is it. I think this is the year.
You reckon?
And on that day, Mark's heart grew 3 sizes.
I'm not that much of a Grinch, but I am a little bit Grinchy. But in all seriousness, thank you for spending the last 12 weeks with us here on Pull or Pass. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying the show and the feedback we've had and taking part in competitions and telling us that you like the show. And we do like hearing from our listeners, so thank you to anyone who's ever listened to the show. We really appreciate it, and we have a load of fun doing this. So
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Might not always look like it, but...
Massive, massive love. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and kittens to everybody.
I agree. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for listening to Pull or Pass. To listen again, it's www.mixcloud.com/pull-or-pass.
Or you can listen to the podcast version on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and all other good podcast sites.
Join our Facebook group, search for Pull or Pass Radio Show.
Follow us on Twitter @PullOrPass.